Hello everyone, welcome to Chelsea Sport Focus. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of breaking news. Let's get started.
Chelsea have made a clear decision regarding the future of Datro Fofana, with Fabrizio Romano confirming that the striker has been recalled from his loan spell as the club prepares to move him on permanently. The update, shared by Romano on his official social media channels, brings an end to Fofana's latest temporary stint away from Stamford Bridge and underlines Chelsea's continued efforts to streamline their squad during the January transfer window. According to Romano, Chelsea have activated the recall clause in Fofana's loan agreement with Turkish side Fatih Karagümrük, where the 23-year-old had been playing this season. The move is not related to first-team reintegration, however, as Romano made it clear that Chelsea and the players' representatives are already working on securing a new permanent destination in the coming days or weeks. In short, the recall appears to be a procedural step designed to facilitate a full transfer rather than a reassessment of his role at the club. Fofana arrived at Chelsea in January 2023 as a young striker with an eye-catching scoring record and considerable potential. At the time, he was seen as another long-term investment aligned with the club's youth-focused recruitment strategy. However, his time at Stamford Bridge never truly got going. Opportunities were limited, competition was intense, and the club's constant managerial changes made it difficult for fringe players to establish themselves. As a result, Fofana quickly found himself sent out on a series of loan moves in an attempt to gain regular minutes and rebuild momentum. Despite showing flashes of his finishing ability during spells away from Chelsea, Fofana has never come close to breaking into the club's senior plans. His overall career tally of 40 goals across club football remains respectable for a player of his age, but it has not been enough to convince Chelsea's hierarchy that he has a future in West London. The recall from Turkey is therefore widely viewed as the final step before a permanent separation between player and club. The timing of the decision is also significant. Chelsea are currently active in the transfer market, with attention focused on both incomings and outgoings. Reports this week have suggested that the club are pushing ahead with a deal for Rennes defender Jeremy Jacquet, while there has also been speculation about the long-term future of midfielders such as Enzo Fernandez. Against that backdrop, moving on players who are clearly surplus to requirements is a logical priority, both to free up squad space and to generate funds for reinvestment. For Fofana, a permanent move could be the fresh start he desperately needs. Repeated loan spells can stall a player's development, especially when there is little belief that strong performances will lead to opportunities at the parent club. A clean break would allow him to settle, adapt to a new environment, and play with the confidence that comes from being a club's chosen striker, rather than a temporary solution. Several clubs across Europe are believed to be monitoring his situation, and Chelsea will be hoping there is enough interest to secure a reasonable fee. From Chelsea's perspective, the aim will be to minimise losses on a signing that ultimately did not work out. While the move for Fofana may be viewed internally as a misstep, it also reflects the broader reality of Chelsea's recent recruitment strategy. Not every young player signed with potential will develop as hoped, particularly in a squad filled with constant turnover and high expectations. The key now is ensuring that exits are handled efficiently and without unnecessary delays. Romano's update suggests that discussions with potential buyers are already well advanced, which explains why Chelsea acted decisively to recall the striker rather than allowing him to remain on loan until the end of the season. This indicates confidence that a deal can be completed quickly, whether before the end of January or shortly after, depending on market conditions. Ultimately, the recall of Datro Fofana marks another chapter in Chelsea's ongoing squad reset. While his departure will not dramatically alter the club's immediate fortunes, it is a reminder of the challenges involved in building a long-term project through youth recruitment alone. For Fofana, the coming weeks could define the next phase of his career, as he looks to turn a promising goal record into sustained success at a club willing to make him a central figure rather than a temporary solution. Speculation around Chelsea and blockbuster transfers is nothing new, but a recent report suggesting a £300 million double swoop from La Liga has understandably raised eyebrows. According to a story published by Court Offside, Chelsea are being linked with an ambitious move for Barcelona midfielder Fermin Lopez and Atletico Madrid striker Julian Alvarez, a deal that would shatter all logic when viewed through the lens of the club's recent transfer strategy. While the idea of Chelsea committing such an extraordinary sum appears wildly unrealistic, there may be a small but significant element of truth embedded within the noise, particularly when it comes to Fermin Lopez. Chelsea's current recruitment model has been clearly defined over the last few windows. The club has prioritised younger players with resale value, long contracts, and wages structured to protect long-term financial sustainability. A combined £300 million outlay on 2 players, one of whom would be approaching his peak years rather than his development phase, runs completely counter to that approach. For that reason alone, the notion of Chelsea pursuing both Fermin and Alvarez together can be dismissed as fantasy. However, separating the two names tells a very different story. Interest in Fermin Lopez is not a new invention. Reports linking Chelsea with the Barcelona midfielder date back to the summer, when several well-connected sources suggested that the Blues had explored the conditions of a possible deal. Most notably, Fabrizio Romano confirmed that there had been direct contact between the two clubs. While that contact did not progress into a formal bid, it established a crucial fact. Chelsea's interest was genuine at some stage, not merely the product of speculation or agent-driven rumours. Fermin's profile aligns far more closely with what Chelsea are looking for than many of the names typically attached to them. At 22 years old, he fits neatly into the club's preferred age bracket. He is young enough to develop further, old enough to contribute immediately, and crucially, still carries the potential for future profit if circumstances change. Chelsea's hierarchy has consistently shown a willingness to invest in players who can either grow into cornerstones of the squad or be sold on at a premium later down the line. From that perspective, Fermin ticks several important boxes. Another factor that gives credibility to the links is Barcelona's financial situation. Despite ongoing efforts to stabilise their accounts, the club remains under pressure to generate liquid cash. This has led to difficult decisions in recent years, including the sale of academy-developed players who represent pure profit on the balance sheet. Fermin, as a homegrown talent who has broken into the first team, falls squarely into that category. Barcelona are well stocked with attacking and midfield options, and while Fermin is valued internally, he is not necessarily considered untouchable if the right offer arrives. That context helps explain why whispers of Barcelona being open to a sale have persisted beyond the summer. The club's need for flexibility in the market means that even promising young players can be deemed expendable, particularly if their sale helps fund other priorities.